Hello, friends of Studio Brûlé. This is Steve Brûlé, and it is coffee time. A time when I go over some of the things that have come across my desk since the last coffee break in a casual manner. And today, well, first I better draw your attention to my VIP club membership in the Patriarchy, which of course allows me to comment on all the carryings on of the evil feminist empire which spreads its tentacles around the world in thousands and thousands of well-funded feminist organizations. Today's show is going to be rather short, I think, because it's really got my attention of this this lawsuit in one university in the US, and a professor is suing for something like $7.9 million, rightly so. And welcome Nature of Nurture to the show. But this one, and I'm going to recommend that anyone and everyone read the full article. This is insane. And I've only screen capped a couple of things here. But this is what you're up against. Both professors and students alike are up against similar kinds of things, because what's happened here is feminists, with their with the laws and procedures that they've managed to implement on university campuses, has made men in general a target of feminists or any malicious woman. This is weaponized accusations here, and this case particularly explains it. It's a good case because it shows how a malicious woman can get away with virtually murder. Now, she's not getting away with it from what we think, but this is a result of allowing students to anonymously make accusations and not even have to write formal complaints, not have to prove anything, and the universities are getting behind it and absolutely destroying men's lives for this. So there is no presumption of innocence. Young men on campuses, and particularly professors on campuses, you really have to watch out. This is tyranny in action right before our eyes, and the legal system and the culture in general is generally accepting it and promoting this crap. So let's have a look at this particular this particular incident here. First, this isn't the particular incident, but I wanted to show this up, that just how ridiculous the people in power actually are. Wisconsin governor blocks UW system, University of Wisconsin, I think that is, from adopting Trump administration's sexual harassment policy. And if you haven't already, have a look at Janice Fiamengo's treatment of this, which came from Betsy DeVos. It is, in fact, almost no change. The change is so trivial that it doesn't help men at all, especially on campus. So, and yet, this trivial change they are objecting against and refusing to implement, even though it comes from the federal government's policy. There is a spirit of evil. I'll call it evil because this is really relishing in the destruction of men's lives, allowing accusers to be protected, and destroying men's lives without evidence and without due process. Let's have a look at, I'm sorry, I'm not really reading the comments here, but welcome Michael and Troll with a Purpose. And I'll just read a comment out here. At this rate, we will need an all-male university. This is from Marlon Lassert, just to keep males safe. Wait, they would never allow that. Guess males are so screwed in a bad way. This is no exaggeration. We would be vilified for trying to create a male university, and vilified for protecting ourselves from false accusations as well. It's a trap. It's what they call a Kafka trap in many ways. So let's have a look at the actual case which I wanted to highlight today. And this was reported on in the College Fix, and it was just reported on today. And having just discussed anti-intellectualism at the university systems today with Janice Fiamengo. I think we did that 2 days ago. This one I decided I would keep the focus on the university system because the university system is really a crucible for the culture. The universities, putatively, at least they are supposed to run as the intellectual centers of our culture. They're supposed to be the deep thinkers. They're supposed to be the free thinkers. But of course, it's not today. They've lost their way. You can't think freely and creatively on a university campus today. You'll be vilified and destroyed, attacked by mobs. The only thing you can do on a university campus today is regurgitate feminist ideology as powerfully as you can, trying to display yourself as one of the most indoctrinated of the indoctrinators. There's no room for creative thinking, for independent thinking on university campuses today. That's only one part of the problems on university campuses. That's the problem that we discussed on Wednesday with Janice Fiamengo. This problem it's coming from the same source. It's coming from feminism and feminism's attack on due process, on presumption of innocence, and particularly on men in general. And this professor's case, I do recommend, I repeat myself, that you should read the entire article at College Fix. The link is in the description. So let's read the title here together. A professor sues university for $7.9 million for destroying reputation with baseless grades for sex investigation. This is part and parcel of the same laws in which allow women to make false sexual assault accusations against men. Okay, well, let's get right into it here. Let's get right into it. This is the woman here. This young woman, it looks like, you'll see from the article, she tried to blackmail the professor into giving her a higher grade, and I think she asked for money as well, or she would destroy his life. And she set about destroying his life because the professor refused. Let's read some quotes here. Oh, somebody's looking for a warning. I didn't follow that description here. But let me just get on with the quotes here. Reading from the top, the University of Illinois continued to probe demonstrably false sex for grades allegations against a professor, even after it agreed to end the investigation in return for his resignation, according to the professor's lawyers. Reading again from the top, when it learned Joseph Petrie's accuser was trying to blackmail him for giving her a bad grade, the taxpayer-funded institution did not publicize its findings to the same degree it promoted the allegations, Petrie's lawyers said in a press release accompanying his lawsuit. Now, I think we've talked about this for months and probably for years even on some other parts of the Studio Brûlé, that these kinds of policies and rules and regulations and laws are rife for blackmail. It's no surprise to me that a case like this is blackmailing. In fact, I'll be surprised if there isn't, this isn't the tip of the iceberg, that this kind of blackmail is going on, I would say, quite commonly in our university system and in our culture at large. The blackmail, in the case of prostitution, where the laws make it legal for women to sell sex and illegal for men to buy sex, is also rife for blackmail. Imagine a man offered sex from a woman who he accepts it, and then she can legally say or easily say, you know, give me another $1,000, $10,000, or I'm going to the police and I'm going to tell them you paid for sex to me. She's not lying. The police can't prosecute her because what she did is perfectly legal. But what he did was illegal. They both participated in the same activity in an agreed upon manner. He is illegal, she is legal, and she can blackmail him for that. Now he has to then take the risk of calling her bluff if it's a bluff. And if he does call her bluff, he may end up in jail with his reputation destroyed and a criminal record and difficulty traveling anywhere outside of his country again. So this is the very same kind of thing. And this is spreading throughout our culture in a myriad ways. And this is one of them here. I'm going to pause for a moment here and recognize Oki Migtau. Thank you so much for your contributions and just support of Studio Brûlé, Oki. And Oki says, burn it all down and rebuild without SJWs. Well, that's an interesting sentiment, Oki, because in reality, the SJWs may be burning it all down for us. Maybe doing us a favor. In any case, let's read on a quote from this article. U of I contractually agreed that if he resigned, it would discontinue investigating Summer Nakvi's, that's the woman's name, the woman where you saw the mugshot of her, claims that Petri offered to raise her grade in exchange for sex, the June 11 suit claimed. Now, who amongst you there really believes that that man would have offered that woman to raise her grade, and that he would even want sex with her for free? I mean, he might, I don't know. But what our culture won't look at is the very common incidents of women like this who do offer sex for other rewards. In this case, she offered sex for a raised grade, and he denied it. So she upped the ante with blackmail. This is made possible only by the complicit, the rules and regulations that have been put into place by feminists. Now let's read another quote from the top. After he resigned, U of I opened a separate investigation into whether Petri violated the aspirational university code of conduct, according to his lawyers. The university did not respond to call fix, phone, and email inquiries. So they didn't let it drop, even after agreeing with it. This is how organized the criminals in the administration of these universities are. They didn't stick to their own agreement. They shouldn't have even pursued this in the first place. They should have just dropped it. They pressured the guy into resigning, or they would destroy his life. And then when he did resign, they punished him and went after him further anyways. Another example that if you kneel before bullies, they will only get emboldened and bully you even more. There is no value in capitulating to these bullies, whether it's BLM bullies or Antifa bullies or university administrators, organized criminal bullies is what they are. Let's read this from the top. Nakvi, the student, and a friend were charged a year ago with felony counts of battery and unlawful restraint against her ex-boyfriend, who allegedly had computer evidence that undermined her claims against Petri. Imagine that. Imagine that. I am not the slightest bit surprised. But here the university knew about these things. They knew she was a freaking criminal. And that there very likely was blackmailing this professor. And they still went after the professor. Let's read another quote from College Fix. The professor's suit says she showed up at his house in February while the investigation was still going, prompting Petri to secure an emergency no-stalking order against Nakvi. She had been arrested 3 times prior, he claims. Nakvi is identified as Sundas in the suit. This is a 3-time arrest person. And you know, if she isn't forcibly stopped, criminally charged, put in jail, there will be a 5th, 6th, 8th, 15th, 182nd time with this woman. And other women are seeing her getting away with it, and probably a lot of other women have gotten away with it. Let's carry on with another quote here. The university backs out after Reddit post accuses it of covering up misconduct. Well, look at that. Reddit. The seekers of truth of which the mainstream media will not go there. And the university backed out of embarrassment and fear of the truth coming out on Reddit. Read on onward. Petrie claimed he did not know Nakvi had been in his class, saying they met several months later on social media and exchanged photos at her suggestion. So there you go, folks. She hunted him down on social media, set up the whole plot. The university policies and administrators are complicit in helping this criminal do her dirty work. That is the state of universities dominated by feminism across North America today. It's criminal. It's sick. Let's read on. When it finally shared, When it finally shared the allegations, the university hid the second and third police reports from Nakvi's interviews, which Petrie believes was to hide the inconsistencies in her story over time. It has still not turned over the third report, the suit claims. I wonder whether these rabidly radical feminist administrators were after this professor for other things as well. Maybe he did not supplicate himself convincingly before these administrators in the past. He stuck his head a little bit above the parapet and they wanted to chop it off, and they were just using this girl's blackmail as an excuse. I'm going to pause here for a moment and acknowledge Bon Bon. Thank you so much, Bon Bon, for your generous support of Studio Brulee. Bon Bon says, cheers, brother. Cheers to you too. I always forget to drink my coffee, but a toast to you. Coffee. What will we do without it? Well, did I read this part? I think I did, yes. It has still not turned over the third report, the suit claims. Let's read on here. And it refers to the university here, signed the resignation agreement in April 2019, a little over a year ago, which stated the Office of Access and Equity will discontinue its investigation and no formal discipline will be imposed. That's the university's agreement with the professor that they helped to destroy. Reading from the top. The finalization of the agreement was rushed because Nakvi posted her anonymous accusations against Perry and the university on Reddit while they were exchanging written proposals. This young girl is a real troublemaker, always stirring the pot. I can just envisage her radical feminist nonsense head. According to the suit, U of I provided him a significantly altered draft and threatened to fire him immediately if he didn't sign. So they changed the draft, the agreement, and threatened him if he didn't resign, despite the fact that this woman is looking like a guilty blackmailer. And let's read it from the top here. Just 5 days after Nakvi's Reddit post, university lawyers pressured Petrie to renegotiate the agreement so that it would be allowed to continue the investigation. 5 days after that post. Now let's read on the next one. This is quite interesting. If he didn't, counsel Scott Rice, another one of these organized criminals working for the university, warned that university leaders would adopt a scorched earth policy and continue the investigation regardless of the agreement, even as he acknowledged Nakvi's credibility issues. You got to shake your head here, folks. These institutions are so stacked against men, white men in particular, but all men in general. All men have to watch their back, watch who they associate with. And in fact, I hate to say it, there's absolutely no way to escape an attack if some psycho feminist puts you in her sights, because they are presumed to be believed and men are presumed to be guilty, just as this case illustrates. Reading onward here. The university hired an outside attorney to resume the investigation and confirmed to the media it was ongoing, citing the safety and security of students and employees. The false implication was that Petrie was guilty and a threat to students, the suit says. I hope he takes every dime of that. In fact, from the little bit we're learning from College Fix, I wish he was suing for $100 million. These universities have to feel the pain of their crimes. These kind of suits, I say bravo to this guy for taking it public and taking it to a significant lawsuit. But it still leaves us all, as long as feminists are dominant in this culture, it leaves us all at risk. Let's read further onto this. 2 weeks later, Nakvi deleted files from her ex-boyfriend's phone and computer, thought to exonerate Petrie, while her friend restrained him, according to the charges filed against them. So think about this, folks. This woman convinced another guy to accompany her to her ex-boyfriend's place, break into his place or whatever, how they got in there, I don't know. But the friend restrained the ex-boyfriend while she went through his computer and deleted files. And the university still stood behind her. This is really shocking. 3 days after that incident, she published her Facebook post against the professor, 3 days after having her friend hold her ex-boyfriend down. Apparently emboldened by the positive media coverage stemming from the reopened investigation, the suit says. This is incredible. You are hated as a man in your own country, folks. This is in the US. I think the name of the university was earlier on. I can't remember it right off. U of I, if anybody knows that that acronym. And I'll look for it later. And let's read onward here. Nakvi and her friend faced burglary charges in February this year, stemming from a second incident they allegedly tried to pin on the ex-boyfriend, according to News Gazette. The day after that report, Nakvi went to Petrie's house, apparently to discuss the ongoing investigation against him, the suit claims, at which point he filed for a no-contact order. So this woman is all over the place. She knows darn well that if she being near that professor, that she could trap that professor in almost any kind of false accusation. That professor's entire life was in serious danger from that woman walking up to his door. And this has happened in men accused of domestic violence when their exes will put a restraining order on the man, and then those women will go up to where they know the man is and put him in conflict, in violation of the restraining order, specifically to destroy him. This is what this woman's doing. She knows exactly what she's doing. She's a criminal mind. She's a feminist. And these rules and policies in our institutions are helping. They're aiding and abetting these criminals. Let's read this from the top. Nakvi's ex-boyfriend told the outside investigator on May 13th, 2019, that she, quote, wanted to destroy Petrie's reputation to get revenge on him for refusing to give her money and change her grade. This is the envy, the murderous envy and anger and hatred that is in the minds of evil women. She knows. She knew she could do this. And I'll be willing to bet a lot of women are getting away with it. A file she deleted from the ex's phone was a video of her in Petrie's office, he said. She got her ex's phone and deleted the video of her in Petrie's office. Well, and this is a reminder, that in spite of all of this evil, all of this criminal behavior going on that is facilitated by the very laws and policies surrounding the education system, even the tiny little changes that Betsy DeVos tried to put in is being rejected by these feminists. Look at that face there. That's the governor of Wisconsin. He is an aider and abettor of these criminals. He refuses to even adopt the slightest of improved changes, although it's argument that it is an improvement at all. This is what you guys are up against in the US and in Canada and in any country that is dominated by feminists. Feminism truly is the global evil empire with tentacles spread all around the world. Now, that's all I've got prepared for today. I realize it's a short session. I'm going to just remind folks that I do have a video coming out shortly. It's being delayed because as I research into it, I keep finding more and more material about the next video, which the topic is Get to Know Black Lives Matter. You're going to be surprised. There is more and more behind and underneath that Black Lives Matter movement than meets the eye. It is purely a feminist hate movement, and their hatred extends to black men. Black Lives Matter do not support black men. They do not care about black men. They only care about the corpses that they can use to fundraise. And they'll use that money to turn around and make life even more miserable for black men. That is feminism. Black Lives Matter is feminism. Feminism creeps into every little niche that it can find in society. As an example, you see ecofeminism. And in ecofeminism, no surprise, they use environmentalist ideas, and what do? They blame white men and patriarchy. Everywhere feminism goes, it's the same, and Black Lives Matter is purely, without exception, without deviation, a purebred feminist movement, nothing more. So I'm going to pause here to acknowledge Harry Holbrook. Thank you so much for your generous support of Studio Brûlé. And Harry says, feminist control of government, schools, and the courts have all men in the West subservient to the demands of the irrational Marxist feminists. Yes, they have infiltrated every single institution, every pillar of our culture. The legal system, the education system, the systems of governance, and even the religious systems. Everything is being taken over by feminism. Feminism has become the de facto religion of the West, religion of the first world. And that's a topic for many, many more videos. So thank you very much for joining me today on Coffee with Steve. And we'll be back. I'll be back on Monday for sure, but I hope to get the Get to Know Black Lives Matter video out tomorrow or Sunday, certainly before Monday. Have a look for it because I think you're going to be surprised. Having said that, don't forget to do something you love every single day. Every single day, no matter how bad things get, because focusing always on the negative stuff of feminism can get you down. So you have to focus on something you love at least once a day. So stay safe, and we'll see you again soon.